Hello, everyone. I'm so excited that you're tuning in today. Today, we have an interesting topic talking about finances and the connections to emotions. And we have a special guest, Magdalena Mahdy, who is living in England and is a tax advisor and professional finance coach. So, yeah, today we will dive into that topic. And I have a few questions prepared, and then let's see where we go. Um, she has you own the company Profit Mind. Maybe you want to start how you started the company, and yeah, maybe just start with that.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so finances is so Profit Mind is all about bookkeeping, finances, financial management, and gaining financial clarity is kind of my personal goal for business owners and people who start businesses or are running businesses, and just be a little bit more financial, have more financial awareness and money awareness. The my journey personally with finances, but also where it all started with the entrepreneurialism. Sorry, my English is a bit bad at the moment. Is that I went to the UK, came to the UK. So my background is back in marketing, etc. And I came to the UK about 13 years ago now, and I quickly learned here that you can really start your business like on the go. That wasn't a thing back in Germany, back where I came from. And so I started my journey with photography, actually. So I was a photographer for a long time. But I think the personality of being an entrepreneur, all of a sudden, you have a lot of things to deal with. You're on an entrepreneurial journey. You're on a self-development journey, a personal development journey. You're running a business. You have to understand your finances. You have to do all these things. So there was a huge learning curve in everything I had to deal with, and every startup has to deal with. And I think finances for me personally was the biggest hurdle and the biggest interest as well. So, you had to really get in understanding what your accountant does and why they do certain things, or, what can you for tax advantages, but also like forecasting. And because also my business was very seasonal, so the ups and downs of money and how it moves through my business, I had to understand all of these things. And I really discovered over the years, obviously this is now probably 10 years back when I first started on this journey, that finances is such a big deal, and especially also the mindset around finances and around money in general, whether that's your personal finances even, or your business finances if you're starting a business. And I think it's just those things that that led me to, why am I not doing this professionally more? So I went on this journey of actually then certifying and training and becoming a bookkeeper and tax advisor. So that, and I'm still not quite finished. I'm still working on some of the qualifications, but I think the work I can do with businesses over the years, and I've been working with the University of Essex as an entrepreneur in residence there, and mentoring businesses for the past 7 years, or students who want to start their businesses. So I think finances was always their biggest hurdle, or it's always one of those topics that everybody knows how important it is, but unless you start trading and you're actually making some money, and then trying to understand what you need to be doing, it's just one of those topics that always falls down on the backside. And then like 3 years down the line or something, you realize, you have a tax bill and you haven't put reserves back, or whatever it might be. And all of a sudden there are things that you need to deal with. And all of a sudden it's like, I need to understand my finances. So I try to preempt this with my students, but that's not always the thing, or always the case. But I think it's that's kind of where Profit Mind came, or like the idea of Profit Mind, not just me being a finance coach and a bookkeeper myself, but I also want to really teach the fundamentals of financial clarity, financial, like cash flow management, financial forecasting, all these kind of things, which sound so boring because I feel like the words are just really boring, but actually it's quite interesting what it can do and what story it can tell you about you and your business. And then all of that, though, the foundational, and that's I think where the two of us come together today, is that mindset is the foundation of everything. I mean, this is for every topic in life. I think mindset is the foundation, but especially also around money. So yeah, sorry, that was a long-winded
That
answer.
was a good sharing. Thank
I think
you.
that's why profit mind, the word mind is in the
Yeah.
word, in the business name, because I feel I have a very strong connection with the mindset of money and mindset of things. So I think, yeah.
Oh, I love that. To be honest, I didn't really connect it, but profit mind makes so sense. Like
Yeah.
your mindset is like charged to like to focus on profit as well.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Ability and cash. Yeah.
I love that. So was there a specific moment where you were like in your personal journey, like, oh my God, I need to get clarity of my finances right now, or maybe like you were like avoiding it a little bit before?
Yeah, I think there actually, funnily, there are multiple sort of moments where I can see, okay, this was a mindset moment, and then this is a financial clarity moment that I needed to like engage more, because I think it was in my journey when I was a photographer, like year 3. I'm telling you, it's always year 3 for whatever reason. I got a tax bill that was, I think, £7,000, and all of a sudden, you felt like I had a successful year and it's great. But then in the UK, the tax system works that you have to prepay. If you're self-employed, you have to prepay. And all of a sudden, £7,000. I mean, it's not like you do have the money, but it's going to ruin your cash flow. And you weren't sure. I was so uncertain about, will I then survive after the summer? Will I survive the winter? Like, what's going on? And so these kind of things really got me into, okay, I need to do forecasting, map out the year and understand where my money is coming in and out, how is it flowing through my business. And that's kind of where I think my personal journey with all of this started. I mean, I always loved numbers, don't get me wrong, but like that was a whole different thing to understand how your money flows. And then you notice like a few money blocks, and can I charge more? And like pricing is a whole another journey that you have to go through, and that is a lot on how much money will come into your business in the first place, and things like that. So it's all connected.
Yes, I love that. We will definitely talk about that. Yeah. But first, I was wondering, when you talk about money clarity, what does that mean for you?
For me, it's the understanding, again, the how the money flows through your business and what story does it tell you. Is there seasonality in your business? Is there not? Like, how can you price your, all of these things? It's all about more the black and whiteness of numbers in your business. So that's, for me, is financial clarity, to understand, are you profitable? Do you have reserves for your taxes? Are you managing your money properly? Are you budgeting? Are you forecasting? Those kind of things. Most people, realistically, most people are looking at their finances maybe once a year when tax season arrives, and then the whole big panic arrives. Like, I have to submit to my accountant quickly to submit to the tax man, and that's the only time they look at the numbers. But that's all hindsight, because that's your profit and loss statement that gets generated from that. It looks at your last 12 months. But it doesn't tell you anything about what's coming next. But by the time you actually have to pay the taxes in the UK, it's 9 months after the fact. So you're already 9 months into the next year, looking at the last year's 12 months. So you're looking way into the past, but you're not understanding what your future does, or what you're not making decisions. So for me, financial clarity is being able to understand exactly where I am, and making decisions from knowledge, or from like my numbers, from the data, rather than from my gut, which, if I'm starting out, I don't have that gut feeling yet. So it's just getting rid of uncertainty, can I afford this? Can I buy this new equipment? Can I hire a person to help me in my business? You don't know until you understand you have financial clarity.
So if I understand it right, financial clarity for you means to know your numbers in a way that you have it all, like in your accounting software or wherever how you do it, like to have the ability to just check. And it's not, if it's a mess, it's no clarity, right? And then you get overwhelmed.
Yeah. So bookkeeping, you need to be up to date with your bookkeeping on a monthly basis, because I think the bookkeeping is your data. That without bookkeeping, you don't have any data. And the bookkeeping, like I said, oftentimes only when the accountant says, oh, I need your data now, I need all your accounts. That's when we sit down for 5 days, look for all our receipts and all our income, and kind of looking at our bank statements and kind of that way. So it's all in hindsight, and not looking at. There's a great book I can highly recommend of anybody, and this doesn't even have to do it, and is not necessarily just limited to your business finances. This could also be your personal finance. It's called Profit First by Mike Mikulovich. And it's the best financial, it's the simplest and easiest way to set up your bank accounts in a certain way that works with your behavior of looking at your bank balance rather than your accounting software. But always knowing where you stand and whether you can or can't afford something rather than getting into debt. So it's a great book. It's an easy read. He makes it super fun, lots of stories. And that actually on the time I told you about the £7,000 tax bill, that was when I stumbled upon his book. And then I put things in place. I got rid of the 7,000, my accountant and I, we upgraded my business to a limited company. And so, it was immediately half. So it's not that story ended there, but like the Profit First system that I then set up was super valuable. And like you have sub accounts and you kind of putting basically every money you make, you distribute in different sub accounts. So you have little money left, a smaller plate. So you're not tempted to constantly buy, business is booming, I can now buy the new computer, I can buy this, the new software, whatever I needed, what I think I need in my business. And therefore, forgetting tax bill is coming or forgetting my credit card bill is coming. So it's kind of a simpler way because you have less available on your bank balance, but you have reserves in your business that put the buffers in, sort of thing. So it just makes you more frugal and how you work with your money. So it's an amazing system. So just have a little read. I can highly recommend.
Profit First.
Yes,
I will check that out. So if there's a client coming to you and I would come to me like, my business and maybe also the personal finance are probably connected to each other. It's like a total mess, and I feel overwhelmed, and I'm kind of scared to even look at it. Where do you start?
Well, obviously from a sort of non-mindset perspective, so more of a sort of black and white, again, like this kind of more rational approach. I would just look at let's look at your bookkeeping. Let's get your bookkeeping up to date, because that will give you the data that you need, and then you have more certainty. So it will be catch up and looking at everything that you've done in the past and kind of or the last, depending where you are on that journey. Personal finances, they are connected. If you're a business owner and you're self-employed, they are kind of almost one and the same. Your personal finances, or like they lead into a lot of the things, but because we are one and the same, we are a business owner, but we are also a person, and have our personal finances. And I don't deal with personal finances. I'm not qualified to do that, but I can see like the mindset is the same. So if you work on your mindset, whether that's for your personal finances or your business finances, exactly the same, because you might want to look at like what got you to that point that you have such chaos and you're so afraid to look at your money or your numbers. That tells you there's a money block there.
Yeah. So what are common money blocks that you see in your clients or in yourself?
I think in general, money block, a lot of is the fear driven, like the not wanting to, like, what's the word? Avoiding to look at numbers. I think the avoidance is quite strong in a lot of people who have money blocks, and also other areas. I think that's the first indicator that you can see, somebody is not really dealing with their fear. I think it's all driven by fear. It's all coming from a fear perspective. But I think, money blocks or money beliefs, I think if they're negative beliefs, then they usually are rooted from, cultural upbringing, how your parents taught you, what society, what country you grew up in. It has an effect on everything that started out as your money beliefs. And a lot of people have, I think, it's even rooted in all our language. If you look at language, time is money, money doesn't grow on trees, all of these saying and phrases. And they actually, you know, I mean, you and I know from German language and in English language, it's, you know, it's the same kind of phrases. It's in every single language. And I've studied French back a few years back, and I was actually looking for the phrases about money, and it's exactly, again, the same phrases, or, you know, slightly variation, but it's all about fear around money. And we use these phrases every day, and we don't even we're like subconsciously, we don't even like know that we're using these phrases. And that's actually one of the stories in my life, a point in my life where my dad made me aware that I was using constantly the same phrase of, I can't afford this, or, you know, like some kind of things around money I constantly was saying. And then he made me aware of that, and actually that made me change my language and actually evaluate, do I not want something? Do I want to buy something? And what's my attitude towards money?
Yeah.
And so I think that made a big difference. But yeah, money blocks and money beliefs are, or negative, I mean, money blocks are negative money beliefs. So they're quite big in a lot of people. But we don't know. Like, a lot of people never ever talk about money. I mean, that's in itself is a block. You never talk about money with your friends. You know, money makes things complicated. Money is such a taboo that a lot of people have already that ingrained belief that, yeah, it's something negative, it's something naughty to talk about.
Yeah, 100%. So I love what you just said, that these beliefs that we hold obviously shape the way we like behave, and then how we are with our money, with our finances. So what is like common beliefs that you have had in yourself or you have seen in your clients that block the flow of actually making more money? So block income.
I think it's exactly that attitude. If you think that money is something scarce and is something negative, you know, like something like, because oftentimes, I mean, it's fear of failure is one of the fears that is obviously common in entrepreneurs, etc. But it's also the fear of success. Because actually, if you're making a lot of money, all of a sudden, if you were to make a lot of money, a lot of things, you have the fear that a lot of things might change in your life. You know, that might be your relationship with people in your life who are maybe, you know, might judge you for making more money than you currently are. You know, I think in our society, almost like the struggle for money is glorified, and there's a lot there to uncover. I mean, we're not going to go, maybe, I don't think we have time to go into all of the details, but I think there's a lot of perception around, you know, it's the same with like being busy. It's always such a like the hustle, the side hustle. No, we don't want to be busy for just being busy sakes. We want to be busy to be productive and effective in whatever we're doing. And the same is with money. Like we it's not about, you know, the struggle for money shouldn't be glorified. It shouldn't be something that to strive for. No, you shouldn't be struggling to make money. You should make money and have but that all is rooted in a deep-seated fear, whether that's the success fear and, like, you know, change with the people in your life, or whether that's and the judgment and stuff, or whether that's your self-worth. You know, I mean, worthiness is a big topic that also circulates around the money beliefs. And I think we all have that to a certain degree. I certainly had, you know, self-worth issues in the beginning. When you first start, especially when you first start out, you think like, oh, everybody's better than me, and like I'm just going to charge tiny little bit. And then, you know, that's fine at the very beginning when you're starting out on something, to charge, you know, smaller amounts. Or, I mean, you should always charge, you know, nothing is for free. But, you know, you need to kind of look at, don't compare yourself with someone who's in the business maybe for 5 years already, and they're showing you their curated Instagram front end to your chaotic back end at the very beginning. So I think these are also things that you need to consider in terms of pricing, for example. And but we always feel like we need to make ourselves small, and we need to, like, our self-worth is very, very interconnected and linked to money. And it was for me as well. In the beginning, I charged quite little, and then you kind of you grow with your confidence. But then I also thought, you know what, Like, I need to make a living, and I need to see that this money is coming through. This is my livelihood. And I know what I can do, and I know what I've done for past clients before. And so I started charging accordingly. And that I think that attitude changed a lot, because it flipped a switch within me. I'm not struggling for money, so to speak. Like, I don't struggle necessarily to, instead of having 100 clients a year, you only need, I don't know, 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Pricing out. So it's just kind of, you get more quality for that client. You appreciate those clients more, but also clients appreciate your work more, because again, something is very cheap. It's free. People don't appreciate it as much as if it's, there's so much perception. It's an endless topic. But there's also so much perception around money and pricing, and there's so much psychology here. But yeah, I think all of that is quite how the belief system work, and how it kind of comes about.
I love to see you and feel your passion while you talk about it. It's so nice. So when you spoke about the fear of success, it was like, yeah. Can you delve deeper into how that shows up in people's lives?
I think there could be different things. I mean, it could be perfectionism is a massive fear. Is it actually a massive fear? I mean, perfectionism is an illusion. Not something that's perfect. The next second it wouldn't be anymore. So it's just that it doesn't exist. So to me, it's like an illusion. But a lot of people are kind of perfectionist in whatever they do, whether that's, an artist never finishing their artwork because it's not perfect yet, or whether that's, you work endless hours for your client because you feel like you can't submit this to the client yet. Or even if you're studying, working, procrastinating, and because of the perfectionism of submitting a paperwork, or like an essay or whatever you have to do for your studies. It's just all of it. And I only know this because I had this discussion with some of my students before, where they are sort of deadline dancers. It's like at the very last minute they submit, and those are usually also the procrastination and the perfectionism. And one of my my own teachers, like I used to do a lot of art and painting and things, and I did like an art degree, and at some point, and she was actually saying, like, I'm a recovering, like she was talking about herself, but she was like, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I think that, to me, that was like, oh, interesting. And that made me think about how perfectionism is another form of procrastination, and it's just holding us back. And I think that is coming from a fear of success, because what if we submit something and it's not perfect, but it's done? Like the saying, done is better than perfect. It's the sort of, we submit something, it's done, and then, or we give it to the client and it's done, and it's they think it's perfect. As long as you're doing it to a high standard and high value, that's fine. But it doesn't have to be where it's holding you off to, like, the fear of I don't know how to best describe it, but it's that fear of, you don't want to put yourself out there. You don't want to submit it because then it would be done, and there's no point of return kind of thing. And that's, I think, what's holding you back.
I think you explained it very well. So if I understand it right, if I have a fear of success, I might procrastinate, or I'm scared to do the last finished thing, like to finish something up, because then it will be out there. And
yeah,
I was just thinking, if the thing is successful, but there's a part of me who still feels like, I didn't do it like good enough, like that's like, so it's like very fast, and that's when people say imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome is also thank you. That is also a massive thing, I think, that's holding us back from being successful. But also, I also want to encourage everybody to define your own success, or your own meaning of success, because I think success in itself is such a loaded word, that a lot of times we look at others, we compare, we do this what I call comparisonitis. It's like a disease. We have to compare ourselves constantly, and that actually is the thief of joy and the thief of anything productive, because you're looking, like I said before, you're looking at somebody's front end, blah blah blah. But I think with the imposter syndrome, it's we always think we're not worthy. We're not, we're not there yet. We're not where that person is that we are looking at. That's our definition of success all of a sudden. But they actually, we don't know what they struggle through. They struggle probably through exactly the same things. So we always, need define your own success. I think your own definition of success, and then see how you can get there. Break it down into action steps, into goals, and then action steps, and tiny action steps, not these like massive ladder steps that you can't reach, like tiny little baby steps, because then that will get you there eventually. And that's, I think, is more productive and more helpful and healthy than that comparison. But I think it's it's all rooted in the fear of being successful, I think, or having money is the same. It's all interconnected.
I love what you just said with the back end and the front. Front. If you compare that, you said it with the business aspect as well, like comparing another person's business, like you see the front and you see the back end from your business. But it's also true with your life. That's when you just said it, I was like, that's true. I see all the mess and people just see the front, right? And so do I see the front of them, and then they see all. It's all
curated. If you're comparing it on looking on TikTok or Instagram and comparing, or even LinkedIn, it's all curated. It's they don't show you all the mess. They might show you some vulnerability if they're good at at their marketing to connect with people, but they're not showing you every little detail. Whereas you in your own life, every little detail of you, and you're already harsh on yourself all the time anyways, and talking really negatively to yourself, which you would never do with your friends or people you love. And so it's just kind of, I think it's all rooted in those things and then when we start comparing ourselves, it's just not, it's not healthy.
So
it's natural and we do it all.
You
have to like, and that's I think the whole thing with the belief system. It's all in your head or like it's subconscious, it's sabotaging you subconsciously, whether that's your language, the money blocks, the belief system. So by making them more conscious, by stopping yourself. So when you have a thought about, time is money, or whatever the saying you're using, or whatever language you're using, like stop and then think and then rephrase it. And I think it's the same with when you discover, or when you notice that you start comparing yourself on Instagram again, like try to make it conscious, because that's the whole thing. Like we do so much subconsciously and it's self-sabotaging us. And so try to like make it conscious, make the effort more to make it conscious, and then change your behavior or your thought.
That. Yeah, you said it good.
It's a process. It takes time.
It's a process. Have some grace with ourselves.
Absolutely.
While doing so. You said about having money. So I remember a mentor was like telling me, like that was like a few years ago, like you always like be happy that you don't have like €1 million right now, because you won't be able to hold it. And I was like, I want it. Like, why do you think I cannot like manage it? I didn't get it at that point when he told me. So can you explain further why we can actually be scared of having money while we also, part of us wants to have money?
I think again, it's this sort of this fear of failure and fear of success. Because you do want to have money. That's why you start a business, because you want the freedom, you want the flexibility, whatever it might be. Or even if you're working in an employment, you're working there in exchange for the money, because you want to have the security and you want to build a house and a life. And we all need money. I mean, that's a fact. So it's just, I think it's just an attitude difference. I think if you're thinking of money, like I'm trying to understand what your mentor might meant with you can't hold it. So I think it's an energy exchange, isn't it? I mean, money is kind of, it used to be just, bartering goods for goods, back in the farmland when we were all farmers, and you exchange rice for potatoes so that somebody else was doing. But then it became a difference because all of a sudden, you can't sometimes exchange goods for goods. So there had to be a currency somewhere established that then you could exchange it for the coin or whatever it was. That was the first one. And then it's just became all of a sudden it started to skew. The system started to skew because some people had more coins or more money than others. And then it became that whole perception of money means power, and money means, I can have more power over others. And I think that's where all our sort of belief system rooted and started out with. But if you're thinking of back, like what helped me in my life is to think about money as an energy exchange rather than a physical sort of a money that has all my negative beliefs in it. It makes it more neutral. It makes it more neutral. Like I provide work, I do some service for someone, and they give me money for it, And so for me, that's an energy exchange. And so if I understand my own self-worth more, I can charge accordingly, and it's all fine. I mean, this is a very simplified version of this, but I think that's kind of where you can't hold the money because you need the money in order to have the successful life. And I think that's where you want the success. That's why you started the business. But then the fears that we've discussed before, they hold you back on that, and they self-sabotage you. But if you try to maybe think of money more neutral and less emotional, because I think that's where the problem is, that we always think of money being super emotional. We attach a lot of shame and guilt and a lot of emotions to the word money itself, but also to the actual values. So I think that's where you can sort of, if you try to, take more of a step back and don't think of hoarding money. It's not about hoarding and say I think there's so much difficulty to explain this. I think it's just because it's such a personal to you how much money you need, but it's just about abundance. You want to live an abundant life. And you do need money in our system, in our society, to live an abundant life. But I think you need to shift in your mindset around money in order to think of it more neutralized rather than the emotional side of it. Does that make sense? I think I've just kind of
I think it makes sense.
Circles.
I think it makes sense, and that's why, like, when you become a business owner, there's no way around personal development.
Yeah. No.
You just have to, because you have to grow as a person to be able to do all of these things, and also like grow your confidence, grow your self-worth, like grow your just your abilities in itself, like your soft skills with people. So all these things that you might not connect to money at the moment, if you're just irrational, like just do your accounting and just look at your numbers, but you don't look at the rest, like the self-worth, the shame, the guilt, I don't know if I can charge that much. It's all playing in.
Exactly. So, and it's sabotaging you. Like, the clarity is one thing. That's why I think the money mindset. I always have this formula I think about, like money mindset plus money clarity equals money impact, money freedom. Because I think the two and two need to go hand in hand. One is the foundation, which is the money mindset, in order to attract more money, in order to be able to charge more, your self-worth, all of these things. And then the clarity is about the financial management of the money and understanding how money works in your business or in your life, in personal life. How investment works, how, I don't know, how mortgage, having a house, whatever you want in your life, you need to understand it. You need to understand the systems around it. So I think, it's just but they go so hand in hand, and they really, the two of them together, that's where the impact lies. That's where your freedom lies. That's where, all of those things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you only have the the rational side and the other missing, there's something missing. This is when it feels like an upwards, like a struggle, like because half of you is like not there. So I was wondering, because we talked about shame and guilt, how is shame and guilt connected to making more money?
I think, well, it's already, you can uncover, like, when you're thinking about money, how do you feel? Like, what makes, when somebody asks you about money, how does that make you feel? And I think a lot of people will, like, when they actually think about how they feel when somebody talks about it, it makes them uncomfortable. And then why is that? Because there's some kind of shame around money.
Yeah.
It's I've read somewhere once that in our society, sex and money are both equally stigmatized and full of shame and guilt. And it's like, in society, you don't talk. I mean, obviously it's as if, I mean, with sex, you can kind of think it goes one way. But it's actually, there's a lot of taboo around that topic. Same with money. And it's still to this day, even though we're talking much more openly about things, it's still with money, there's so much stigmata and so much taboo. And I think that in itself is the shame and the guilt. You know, the things that, however you grew up with, whether you grew up with parents or a culture that, you know, again, that has this language, maybe even more predominantly around money, and money doesn't grow on trees, so you need to work really hard. And if you know, how dare you make more money than your parents, or how dare you make money, you know, more money than whatever. So it's just kind of, there's a lot of shame and guilt associated in families, and, you know, talking about money between friends. I mean, you know, there's a lot. I mean, I think there's already a lot of personal growth that you can uncover for yourself, and maybe just, you know, go to the pub and talk with your friends about money next time you are meeting up, and see how they react to it. Exactly.
And see what you feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that will uncover so much. If you have like-minded people around you that are maybe on a similar journey than you and are open to these kind of developments, then, you know, just see. And it's all about making it conscious, because if you're not, again, if you don't understand why you're self-sabotaging or why you're not attracting enough money, maybe there is a block somewhere that you need to uncover. And it's a process. Like, journal alongside it, you know, meditate on it. Like, you need to have lots of things. Try to change your language, try to make your language, like, uncover what language you're using, and then uncover the sort of, are there any kind of shameful or guilt related words that you're using all the time? How are you talking to yourself? I mean, obviously that's, you know, we are the worst with ourselves. We are very unkind to ourselves, that we would never talk to other people about, or like to. And oftentimes that's also around money. Like, it's not just our body and our other things that we talk about, but it's all in our heads, but it's also money. And like, oh, you're not, you know, you're not good enough to do this. That's the whole imposter syndrome coming back in, or the perfectionism, or the procrastination, the self-sabotage. All of those are self-talk, negative self-talk that leads to negative self-beliefs. And therefore, it leads to shame, guilt, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I love that. It's so deep.
It is very deep. I think and not everybody is open to it, you know. But just, if you are listening to this and, like, you know, it's curiosity hits you, try to uncover it.
Yeah, I love that. Let me look at my notes. I know I wrote that in a few questions. What are the most common reasons women tell you that they are not good with money? And how do you help them to turn this around?
I think as women, we have even more deeply rooted emotions and feelings, whether that's money or self-worth, you know, because I think there's a lot still there to uncover as females, and how we are talked at in society about, you know, to females, but then also how much of that we internalize. In terms of, sorry, what was the question? In terms of the what females take on as money blocks, or what was the question? Sorry.
Yeah, what are their most common, like, beliefs, or like why they tell you I can't be good at I can't be good at the money thing. Like for some reason it doesn't work for me. I can't do it. I don't like math. I don't know. Maybe that's something.
Yeah, I think that's the bit, like exactly what you just said. I was just about to say, like a lot of there's misconception around when you're dealing with business finance or personal finance is that you have to understand math, or have to be good at math, or have to be a number ninja or something. But you don't. There are so many tools and things and mechanisms. It's just understanding money is the key, really, and understanding your numbers. But I think that the biggest thing I would say is probably the self-sabotage, the self-worthiness. Those things are the biggest driver for anything. I mean, that's self-development as much as your entrepreneurial journey, if you are on one, but it's the, standing in front of a mirror and how you talk to yourself. Those are, all of that is rooted in, and it probably shows up in lots of different areas in your life. But in the money side, it will also show. And that then you don't want to, it's again that avoidance tactic. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to look at it. You don't want to deal with it. And unfortunately, our systems, I think in Germany, it's not as bad. But like here, you only get a credit rate, like you only get a rating if you acquire debt. So like in Germany, it's the Schufa system. So if you have made debt and you hadn't repaid it, or there's something outstanding, it would be on the Schufa database or whatever. And so when people are looking at your how credit worthy you are, they look on the Schufa system. That's a positive system, because you're not judged on how well, you're judged on that you don't have any debt, Whereas here in the UK, I got very confused in the first few years. I didn't have a rating because you need to have a credit card. So you need to acquire debt first in order to pay it back. And then you get judged on how well you pay it back, basically. So you always have to have debt in order to get a credit score. So it's, to me, that's a backward system. I think it's the same system in America. But those kind of systems then teach you already, like, it's so easy to acquire debt. And it's then in our mindset, when we have credit cards and things like, and payments that come later, we forget about them. I mean, it's so easy to forget about, I mean, even the PayPal Pay in 3, you do it in the beginning and like, oh, brilliant, and it's great for your cash flow. Don't get me wrong. You need to have extend your cash flow as much as possible. But if you don't keep track of these things, they become, you pile them on, and then you start getting into serious issues. And I think that's the system itself is already built that you're kind of getting into trouble if you're not dealing with your money. And so you need to even more so, because of the systems, you need to even be more so aware of what you're actually doing and what your behavior is, and spending money left, right, and center, and then avoiding because you feel like I can't actually afford things, but you're still spending it, and it's the dopamine hit that you want, and whatever. There's so much psychology wise, again, so much interconnected. And I think that's, I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is how we talk to ourselves, but the second thing is that our behavior, whatever we think, like our thoughts, there's the thought model that describes sort of, it goes from, having a thought into, I think it's the action, and then it goes from thoughts to feelings to actions to results, and then in the beliefs. And I think those things, you're back. It's kind of like when we just thinking about something. So our thoughts are the biggest hold up really in our entire world with anything, because they turn into belief system eventually. And so you need to kind of, stop your thinking and stop your thoughts. And I think that's what the biggest issue is a lot of people have with money. And that's not necessarily limited to females, but I think because we judge ourselves so harshly in other areas of our lives already, it's the money side.
Yeah, I can clearly see that. And also, I think what I've observed in myself and also in other women, like the threshold to ask for more things and to just be like bold and be like, I would like to have this, or like asking for what you want in big ways.
Yeah.
I see that for men, oftentimes this is more easier than for women.
Yeah. And also, like, I mean, the wealth gap is massive still. You know, I mean, I'm in following Female Invest. I don't know whether you've heard of them before, but they are trying to obviously eliminate the wealth gap between females, like the gender wealth gap, and it's baby steps. But by teaching women how to invest their money rather than just save, because again, in families, oftentimes it's the boys get told how get like the knowledge gets shared with the boys of you know, how to invest, or that there is the system that you can like make your money grow on its own, almost in that sense. Whereas the females are more taught like how to save potentially, or well, because obviously historically we didn't have any money. So so it's just kind of again, there's a massive lack of education, and that's what Female Invest is all about, and trying to like educate females to how to grow their wealth. Because I started way too late. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, and you know, I wished I started in my 20s, but nobody told me, and that knowledge wasn't that readily available 20 years ago, you know. So I mean, there's, you know, tomorrow is still better than, I mean, today is still better than tomorrow, but if you can't do, you know, if you didn't do yesterday, today is, or the tomorrow is the best day. So yeah. But I think those are the things where the gap between wealth, between gender and the gender wealth gap is still massive. So
yeah.
And that again comes also back to not just education, but also self-belief, I think, in a lot of things.
Yeah. So I feel what you say, because like if we don't learn about finances in school, like in most normal high schools, and so what you get from your family maybe a little bit and their abilities, and then yeah, sometimes that's also not the most supportive. So when you then, let's say whoever is listening to this, and there's a woman maybe in her 20s, maybe in her 30s, and she wants to really like delve deep into that and like get the knowledge, that financial knowledge, but like there's so much out there, but where to start? Do you have any tips on how to start the journey of becoming more financially literate?
I think it depends on whether, I think here I would make a clearer distinction between personal finance and business finance. So if you are on an entrepreneurial journey and you also want to start a business, then I would definitely start with sort of like learn a little bit about bookkeeping, learn a little bit about cash flow and how you can do quick, easy forecasting. Because forecasting will tell you, like, even if it's just a finger in the air at this point, and it might feel uncomfortable, but the forecasting will also serve almost like a goal setting. Because if you're looking at the next 12 months, like, I mean, we're at the end of the year right now, and we're looking at 2025, and you know, you can plan the 12 months ahead by looking at every month. You just plan out how your money comes in, or how much money you predict comes in, and how much money you're going out. But just a bit of how much money is going out, because you probably have more clarity of the finances, what's going out, than what's coming in at this point. But it's just about making clear, oh, okay, yeah, I do have internet bill, I have for my business, I have a website hosting, I have insurances I have to pay, I have an accountant fee once a year, you know, all of these. So you need to map that out, so you know where you stand every month, and then map out what you know already at this point, maybe what the next 12 months give you in terms of income. And then, or if not, by the numbers of what your expenses are about, you already know, okay, yeah, I need, I don't know, £1,000 in February, because that's going to get me into the negatives. So, you know, my cash flow is running out. My cash is running out. So I need to make, by February, I need to make £1,000. So then that will set you, okay, what do I need to do now in order to attract a new client or 2 new clients to get me to that £1,000 by February, March, whatever. So it's those things will help you with the goal setting, and that will help you, like not just goal setting, but will help you with the clarity of where's my money going and how much do I actually need to make in order to cover that money. Obviously, you want to have leftover, you want to be profitable. So you need to also then plan out, what other things coming in. But those are the first step, I would feel, if you're on a business journey, if you're on an entrepreneurial journey, if you're on a personal journey, and this comes both. Obviously, if you're a business owner, you have that side of the business finances, but also you're a person. So you want to have also personal finances. So on the personal finances, obviously, like I said, I'm not a specialist in this, but what I did personally was, because I'm on I'm in self-employed, or like I have my limited company, I don't get a pension. I get the state pension, but I don't get a pension from an employer. So I need to do a self-invested pension or something, looking at investment or some kind of pension plan. So I would definitely look at my pension for one thing. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is look at what you can do tax efficiently in your country. In the UK, for example, you can have an ISA, which is an individual saving account of up to £20,000 for free, tax-free. So you can invest, whether that's stock and share ISA or cash ISA, but you can invest £20,000 into that and get percentages on top. Obviously, you get interest and, compounding effect and all these things. In the UK at this moment in time, £20,000 tax-free. So anything, how that £20,000 every single tax year. So if you were to, try to invest more and more and more, and then you have the compounding effect over the years, that money grows, and that's all tax-free. So anything that the capital gains of the ISA is tax-free. Whereas if you were to just open up a trading account somewhere, or doing something on the side, or getting interest on your bank account, which is very minimal usually, you get better deals with other things. Those are you need to understand like how the system works a little bit. You don't need to be an investment banker. You don't need to be a stock trader of any kind. There are lots of things, but just try to understand a little bit more how the system works, because without that knowledge, you're always going to be sort of in that gender gap, in that wealth gap. So look in, I can highly recommend Female Invest. I mean, I'm not associated with any of them, but I'm just a member. I paid my membership and I just absolutely love what they're doing. So I can highly recommend Female Invest to look into your personal finance side of things. And they have lots of education on their platform about pensions, about, in the UK ISA, or in other countries, others. They have a massive community of, I don't even know how many thousands of women are in that community, but it's a great learning education thing. So that's for your personal finances. For business finances, just start with the basics. If you need help, I'm more than happy like reach out, but you can do this. So I believe in every single person who's watching this. You can do this. It's not as hard. It's always a learning curve with anything new. There is a learning curve. You have to understand what's going on, but then you will get this over time. Yeah.
How can people work with you?
Oh, you can follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Profit Mind, or my name, Magdalena Mahdy, on LinkedIn. And you can book a 30-minute discovery call. We can discuss what your needs are. There's a link on all of my social media as well. You can get actually a free cash flow guide. So that, because I was talking the cash flow forecasting and how to do that and how to set it up. I created a template, an Excel spreadsheet, plus a guide on how to, get also building your habits around financial management. So you need to have like weekly money dates, I call them, because you need to kind of look at your finances every week, engage with it. It's just a half an hour, make yourself a cup of coffee, sit down in your favorite chair, or have your computer with you, whatever it might be. Just make it a pleasurable experience, and then just engage with your money every week. And that way, that builds habits. That looks at you looking at your forecasting sheet that you created for the next 12 months. So I think those things can probably help you. But yeah, if you look at profitmind.co.uk, you can get the free cash flow guide and template.
Yes, I will link your website and LinkedIn in the description so people can find you. Can only people work from the UK with you, or do you also do the finance coaching side from people all over?
I think it's the coaching and like consulting kind of business consulting work I can do for probably everybody. But if it's the bookkeeping and the actual money management and taxes, I can only do the UK.
Okay, so people who are from the UK, you need somebody with your accounting or taxes, you know who to reach out to. Yeah, I love that.
Brilliant.
Let's see. I have another good question. So I wrote down, how do you help clients move past the fear or discomfort they often feel about dealing with their numbers to develop confidence in managing their finances?
I think it's helping them understand their finances and what it actually means and what does, because I feel like the language around finances is just very boring and it already instills some kind of like, oh, this is too, not just boring, but it's also like you don't even want to go there. It's just, it's scary, you know. if you hear like, you know, the vocabulary, the jargon. So the easiest way of how I would deal with my client, or how I deal with my clients, is just to eliminate the jargon. Just talk to me like I'm your friend, you know, like we can talk. I can try to explain the things in very simple terms. And then it's just about, it's one thing to outsource. I think that's great. You know, outsourcing is always a great thing, but you need to understand what you're doing and what you're outsourcing. So I think it's initially working on that to maybe even show you what I would be doing with your finances or your bookkeeping. But more importantly would be sort of like, we would have monthly. So if somebody were to is outsourcing to me, like all of their bookkeeping, and they want some reporting and some key performance indicators, we kind of establish which ones they need for, because there are tons of different key performance indicators, and it depends on your industry and it depends on what your needs are, really. So you can kind of create management reports every month, and you have meetings, cash flow meetings, and management report meetings together, and you go through like, this is what I see happened in your business. You know, this is where I see your money is running out. Where can we work on? And because I have such like also business understanding because of my work with the university, but and also obviously having had my own business, or still have, I love to then look at the wider picture, because your finances tell a story about the health of your entire business. The finance is kind of the heart, I guess, and it distributes all the blood through, you know, if you're working in that analogy, through everything. But it affects, you know, how, okay, you need to do more marketing, or you need to do better marketing here, or how can you then attract your clients in different ways? What's your pricing strategy? Well, how are you doing your sales? Like, when you have a call with a client, how are you working with them there? And so you can kind of expand, what are your revenue streams? You know, can you maybe add a few revenue streams? Can you think of other ways how to make money? You know, so it kind of, the finances give you that beat, and then it's just kind of looking at all the other aspects around the business model that you can then look at. Where are your other resources? You know, can you hire someone? Is your finances allowing you to hire someone so that it frees up a resource in your time that you can then dedicate to something that's more important, and that can actually drive a lot of more things into your business and the impact you want to create for your business, for your clients?
I love how you said that the finance is the heart of the business, because when the finances are not going well, the whole body is not going well the way, but the heart is not going well. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the rest is also like suffocating. So I think that analogy, like, I never heard it this way, but like, I will definitely remember that, because if the heart is healthy, like, the rest of the body can be healthy too. So yeah.
And I think that's the first step to really, and it doesn't have to be scary. If you have the right professional, I think, at your, like, by your side to explain things to you, or even if you're educating yourself, it's not, it really, like I said, before I studied and did my qualifications in this, I still I really got into the nitty gritty, and I really wanted to understand. It's just the drive to want to understand. I think that's, and again, that comes with the mindset. It's just that, I mean, yeah, that the same, I understand that making a TikTok video and doing your marketing is so much more sexy than looking at your finances.
Yeah.
But I think one drives the other. You know, you need to kind of understand what, because you don't want to make a TikTok video just for the TikTok video's sake. You want to make a TikTok video to engage with your audience, and you need to therefore also look at the data, what that TikTok video was doing for your business. Does it drive business back into your business? Does somebody actually buy from your videos? Not just one video. Obviously, it's a long-term, it's a more content strategy, but still, does your content in general drive clients into your business and therefore money into your business? And you need to look at the data of the analytics. It's the same way you need to look at the data from the TikTok account or Instagram account, the same way as you need to look at the data of where the finances are coming from. Where is the money coming from? That's why I think this cash flow forecasting or cash flow management kind of, it's not just the forecasting as in looking at the future. You also want to track your cash flow every month of, you know, what did you predict versus what was actual, because then you can see, oh, there's a difference between the two. Why? What happened? What was the cause? And it's not about judgment, you know, it's just about understanding why there was a difference between the budgeted version and the actual. So it's those kind of mechanisms you can put easily in place yourself to just kind of see the difference, and therefore what's the story behind that? Why did something not work the way you thought it might be?
Yeah,
there might be a legitimate reason. There might just be like, oh yeah, we postponed our marketing campaign to next month or whatever it was. So then, you know, that would have an effect on something. Or, you know, not as many clients, you didn't attract as many clients, whatever it might be, whatever the reasoning, but there is a reasoning behind it. And so it's just about justification, or well, justification kind of implies judgment. So I want to rather like explanation. It's an explanation of what's going on in your business every month. And so it's those kind of mechanisms you can easily put in place to help you with all of this.
It's an explanation of what's going on in your business and what's going on in yourself.
Yeah, as well. Like, why, if something was completely skewed to what you thought it might be, and you can bring it back to, actually it was because maybe I didn't put more marketing efforts out there. Why didn't you do more marketing efforts? Oh yeah, because I was procrastinating on getting it done. You know, I was self-sabotaging, whatever it might be. So again, it brings it back to what's your mindset?
Yeah. I don't know. I really like that analogy with the heart, because it seems like you can think about making it a holistic approach to look at your heart and like look deeper inside of what's actually going on, and then you have a body that's healthy or that's not so healthy. And yeah, I really like that.
But again, it's the mindset and the clarity.
Yeah,
they go hand in hand, and both of them are your heart, I think.
Yeah,
in that sense. So I think, I think there's so much. I like the analogy as well, because I think it is the beating heart. If you run out of cash, you're going to be bankrupt very soon. So and you started, like, also bring it back to what's your why did you start this business in the first place? So you know, what did one might be like internal, like our own reasons, but there might be also something that we saw an injustice in the world and we wanted to, you know, contribute and do something about it. And so just imagine if you don't have your heart, and therefore you know, the business kind of implodes and goes bankrupt, you can't reach these clients, these people. You're not creating the impact that you wanted to create, and therefore there's a lack in the society of your contribution, and that would be a shame. So I always think, like, you have to bring whatever your passion is, you have to bring it to the world. So
yes, I love that. Yeah,
brilliant.
let me see. What are like the biggest results that have you recognized in yourself or people that you work with, like that makes a difference of how powerful a person feels, like the before and after of having clarity about their numbers?
What you mean, like a result or a process?
No, I mean like the way a person feels empowered
Mhm.
because now they have this clarity. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of that clarity, they will immediately feel that empowerment.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in if you're looking at your mindset and you're working on these money blocks, I think you will already see that something shifts, something, your
Mhm.
perception shifts. And then if you then add the clarity around your finances on top of that, I think that is such a powerful thing that you can do for yourself.
Mm.
Because again, regardless of whether that's your personal finances or your business finances or both, well, it needs to be both if you have a business, I think. But it's just going to give you so much more control and so much more freedom, and understanding of what you're actually doing, what creates an impact. You can create the impact that you wanted to create in the world with your own clients. You can amplify that so much more by understanding what the mechanisms are in your business, what drives the money, what drives the business finances, and where your money is coming from and where is it going. You can be more frugal. You're not going to be sort of spending left, right, and center, because you're going to be much more conscious about what you're spending the money on, and how to grow that money in the long run. So I think those things are just, I think it's the most empowering and most powerful thing that you can do for yourself. Work on your mindset slowly and surely. Again, that's a self-development journey that you're on, and it's a process. So have the grace and be kind to yourself along the way. But then add on top of that the financial clarity. And I think it's the most, it's the biggest gift you can give yourself. It's the
Yeah.
healthy heart.
It is. It is a healthy heart. And you probably will feel more peaceful
Yeah,
if
I
you
think
know.
so. Because
Yeah.
obviously, what the one thing then oftentimes that what I hear a lot is like, I'm lying awake at night thinking about my finances because I
Yeah.
think I can't afford something. But oftentimes it's our fear of that that causes more anxiety, or the uncertainty causes more anxiety than the
Yeah.
actual realistically, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
But by looking at it more less emotional and looking at it more from a black and white perspective of the clarity side of things, I think it will give you, right, I really don't have the money, so what can I do about it? So it makes you more pragmatic, and decision making. Or actually, oh wow, I actually do have the money, so all my worries and my anxiety
Mhm.
and my sleepless nights were for nothing. So it's just about, I think it just gives you that clarity that, yeah, it's just more peaceful. Your mental health will love you for it. So yeah, I think it's the biggest gift you can give yourself.
Yes. I love that. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you feel like you want to share?
I think we covered probably pretty much everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a big topic, and we can probably talk like hours about this, because I mean, this is not even like looking at it from a practical perspective, but I do feel like it's because it's such a personal journey. Looking
Mhm.
at your money beliefs and money blocks, as long as you are looking at them and you are making them conscious and then working through them, you're already on this path. You're already on a good, stepping stone. And then add the clarity to it. And I think that's um that's the bit that a lot of people don't do, or like they don't do one, or they do the clarity but then not work on the mindset, and that will self-sabotage
Mhm.
them later down the line.
Yes.
So I think the two of them are really good, but start with somewhere that you feel you have maybe the biggest resistance, because that's usually the indicator that's the most urgent that you need to look at.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
resistance is always, it's this one thing about resistance. Because my teacher, again from the art class, she was always saying these things. um Resistance, do you know the what's the word? We often, because our mind wants to, or like our mind, or the guy that talks in our head or whatever, That person always wants to keep us kind of small and in the comfort zone. So if we're now edging onto something that's uncomfortable, we have a lot of inner resistance. And that might be, looking at procrastination, perfectionism, all these kind of things again. But it's usually that I always think of my resistance when I discover that I have a lot of resistance with something, that I'm close to finding the diamond, because there's this image where someone gives up and they were that close to the diamond. I don't know whether you know that image. Somebody was digging, and that's kind of where I always feel like the resistance wants to keep you from not finding the diamond. And so if you give in to the resistance, you're that close. But if you are persevering and working through your resistance, the diamond is on the other side. So I think that's the kind of indicator that you need to work on something. And there's another great book. It's called The Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the one that her memoir was the Eat, Pray, Love. I don't know whether you know the movie or the book, but anyways, she's an author, and but this one is a non-fiction book, but it's very inspirational. It's about that process, that creativity process, but also about that resistance and all these kind of things that you when you're on that self-development journey, what can, like, the stumble blocks. It has nothing to do with money, but it's I think it doesn't really matter. You can apply it to money as much as you can apply it to the creativity in creative businesses. But yeah, I think those books are they're great inspirations.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. This was such a good conversation. I had so much fun. And there were definitely things that I was like, oh yeah, I really need to think about that. So it was so nice to talk to you, and really, like, having conversations like this is so important, and then sharing with other people, because if you think about money, there's so much around it, but we don't always recognize how much there is under the surface. And I just love conversations like this, where you realize, oh my God, like, everything is just going on underneath it. And this is maybe the reason why I don't feel like I'm breaking through yet, even though I do the rational work. For me, I was always like, I'm doing the rational work, but why isn't it working? So I was like, maybe there's something underneath going on, because clearly I am, like, trying to do things, but, like, then I'm scared and I just, like, stop. So yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love these conversations too. And like you just said, it's oftentimes you do one or the other, but you're not doing them together. And I think, and even if you're doing, you still, like, I've worked through my money mindset, but I still sometimes encounter, there's still things, like, it's ongoing. It's going to be the entire life, you're going to work on these things, but it's just about recognizing that there are money blocks. You get quicker at recognizing and changing your language, or changing these, like, oh, that was a money block. I've never knew that was, because it uncovered another layer. It's an onion, you uncover another layer as you grow older. And but it's just about starting to work on it, and take the first peel off. Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much, Naomi. That was really great.
Yeah, and as I said, especially if you're from the UK and you're looking for a tax advisor and a accountant and a financial coach, the link will be in the description, and not in the subscription box. That's the English word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can check it out. Bye-bye.
Bye.